The coronavirus.
COVID-19.
कोरोना पर अपडेट देने वाले
Coronavirus.
The coronavirus.
It's coronavirus pandemic.
El virus COVID-19.
Sometime in December of 2019, a small group of individuals in Wuhan, China contracted a mysterious disease. Little did they, or anyone know at the time, that in mere months that disease would spread across the world. The pandemic would go on to change the way we live, work, diplomatize, and learn. Unfortunately, what evaded the public eye was how the pandemic would transform domestic violence across the world, in the United States, and even in Marin County.
Center for Domestic Peace was founded in 1977. We were founded ultimately to end gender violence and violence against women. We've evolved over the past 43 years, starting off as a hotline and a shelter. And now we have a full curriculum of services.
We have an emergency shelter that has over 30 beds and 2 different actual homes. In addition to that, we wanted to make sure that we had someone to walk folks through the criminal court system and the civil court system. We also have all of our prevention services, working with youth and young adults to prevent violence before it happens, and our clinical therapy department.
Canal Alliance is an organization that supports the community, mostly the immigrant community in San Rafael. The way we work at Canal Alliance is that when a domestic violence victim comes to us, we connect them to Center for Domestic Peace.
Domestic violence was no doubt an issue before, but the coronavirus pandemic and its accompanying shelter-in-place order has changed everything.
When it comes to the pandemic and domestic violence, it's the perfect storm.
People are abiding by shelter in place more, so they're confined to their homes. You know, Americans are drinking more now during the pandemic than at any time in prior history.
Less people come to the house, everybody's isolated, so people can't check up as much.
People get tired of each other easily because they're no longer at work, they're no longer at school.
You know, people aren't as able to just go and do something rewarding and chill out.
You know, traveling to a family member's house to get away from an abusive relationship isn't essential travel.
Gun sales are through the roof right now. So we know that when there's a gun in the house, a victim's chances of being murdered go up 500%.
We're also talking about economic loss and the threat of being homeless.
A USA Today analysis found that emergency calls regarding domestic abuse during the pandemic have risen between 10 and 30% nationwide, and this problem isn't just limited to the US.
Back at the house in Britain, this alleged abuser is arrested. But as some countries begin to ease their lockdowns,
countries had poor records on women's rights even before the coronavirus pandemic. Now it seems that a bad situation is getting much worse.
Center for Domestic Peace responded very quickly when the shelter-in-place order went into effect. We put in protocols on cleaning, wearing protective gear, masks, things like that.
We are still getting a high number of calls, but it's not what we thought it would be. What we are getting are calls from law enforcement when the violence escalates to a point where other people are calling the cops.
Furthermore, calls to the National Domestic Violence Hotline have remained steady into the shelter-in-place.
Sometimes friends can tell if women are being abused and we get a call, but now if they're all in shelter-in-place, who knows?
Having the attacker there all the time can make it more unsafe. They're more likely to overhear you, or maybe they monitor your computer.
One of the reasons that people may be reluctant to report domestic violence during the pandemic is the fear of contracting the virus from first responders.
The additional barriers that our undocumented population here in Marin County faces is lack of feeling comfortable to reach out for support because of fear of being deported.
One of the reasons folks are unable to or deciding not to leave right now is because they know that the police, if they arrest them, a lot of times they're not even putting people in jail right now because of COVID. People are thinking, I'm just going to ride this out in my relationship until this is over. The Center for Domestic Peace and all the Bay Area shelters are in conversation about what's it going to look like the day that the shelter order in place is lifted. What we are planning for is a huge influx of divorce, of restraining orders, of seeking emergency housing.
Currently, the Center for Domestic Peace is in contact with many victims in increased danger due to COVID-19.
We have a survivor who's new and she is disabled. She is being controlled by her partner and had her bags packed and ready to go, but she can't go now. She called us and said, I was ready to leave and now I can't. Like, where am I gonna go? There was a young man who was attending one of the colleges and his father was severely abusing his mother. We had to figure out where they're gonna go. We looked at shelter options, but that didn't feel comfortable to his mom. She wanted to go to her sister's house where there's 5 other people, where there's also an elevated risk of the pandemic. So they decided to stay in the home and see what happened when Dad came home. Like, that was the only other option they had.
Each year, the Center for Domestic Peace aids thousands of similar domestic violence survivors, and that is just the minority who do reach out for help. How many more victims will go through experiences like this before things change?
Rapes, muggings, and car crashes combined are far less than domestic violence. It's sort of in the national conversation at this point in a way that it's really incredible, and I hope we take it further than just the pandemic, because this is a problem all the time.
If you know somebody who is in a situation, reach out to them, let them know they're not alone, and find ways to communicate, get away from the house, figure out strategies to help them. Those are right now the key things I think people can do.
And the biggest thing to do is to do something. Use your voice, you have power. And so using that power for good to help others is what we're looking for, and you will have a difference.